The NFL has a total of 1,696 active players. With that many players, there are bound to be the ones who perform at a high level, but get overshadowed by the big guys in the league. Everyone knows names like Patrick Mahomes and Justin Jefferson, but there are guys who fly so far under the radar and make a serious impact on their team. In this video, I'm going to be going over 5 players who I view as very underrated and under-talked about, and guys who I think could make an impact this year on their current team. This isn't for fantasy football, so I'm not necessarily saying you should draft these guys, but in terms of their respective skill set, they are all guys to watch for this upcoming season. Now, I'm aware that there's more than 5 underrated players in the NFL, and they aren't the only ones. However, these are the ones that jumped out to me the most on film. Also, clips for these guys are not easy to find, as in order to be underrated, you don't have a lot of people talking about you. So some of these clips might be a little old or when they were on a previous team. Now, the first player I actually want to talk about is Hunter Renfrow, believe it or not. I don't even have to say anything about Renfrow, just listen to All-Pro safety Derwin James talk about him.
Hold on 1 second. Did you just start a conversation with Tyreek Hill and go to Hunter Renfrow?
Yeah, it's different.
Hunter Renfrow, the encyclopedia salesman.
Yeah, no, there ain't no encyclopedia salesman.
Hunter really like that.
Turn the film on. You watch film, don't you?
I know, but I'm just trying to be devil's advocate because I just
Nah,
because
man.
my man got a receipt,
he underrated.
hairline.
Nah,
No,
you gotta give him some credit, man.
No, he really is.
He
though.
good, man. Right.
Yeah, like he got his deal this year, and I would actually talk about it all the time on TV. I did a breakdown of him. I was like, y'all got to stop going out there looking at it.
No.
Y'all got to stop looking at his headshot, looking at his body, and get out there and
guard
cover.
him.
Yeah, and guard him.
You heard it here first, people.
Hunter Renfrow.
Fantasy football lover.
Renfrow is extremely under-talked about, and I realize why. The last 2 years in Vegas have been very underwhelming, and he wasn't getting much love in that offense at all. However, he was dealing with Josh McDaniels, one of the worst coaches I think I've ever seen, and Antonio Pierce, an interim head coach who got fired the same season he got promoted. Not only this, but Renfrow has had some medical issues as he was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis before the 2024 season kickstarted. He was left lethargic and with low energy, which seemed to contribute to his play on the field. However, in 2025, he has signed a 1-year deal with the Carolina Panthers, who don't have a whole lot of competition in their wide receiver room. If Renfrow is fully healthy and ready to go for the 2025 season, I believe he could make a decent impact on this Carolina offense. As you can see, he's one of the cleanest and smoothest route runners in the league when healthy, and now that he's off the team that underutilized him, he may be in prime position to shine this upcoming season.
Seahawks load the line and bring pressure. Rodgers has it picked off by Leonard Williams. Just the second interception of the Big Cat's career. Is he going to take it to the house? His old house. He sure is. A pick 6, and he flips the game on a huge play.
The next player I want to talk about is Leonard Williams, defensive tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. I feel like Williams has been a little bit under-talked about his entire career. He had a pretty solid stint with the Jets, the team who he was drafted by, and the Giants right after that. And maybe his best stop so far, the Seahawks. Williams is 30 years old, and I think fans were expecting a bit of a drop-off in production after he was dealt to Seattle, but it's really been the exact opposite. Now that he's actually on a competent team, Williams has thrived. He's posted a total of 11 sacks last year from the defensive tackle position and was a key piece to the Seattle pass rush. PFF graded him as the 4th best defensive tackle in the NFL last year and gave him a very high pass rush grade. The Giants traded Williams to the Seahawks for a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. At the time, people were calling the Seahawks out for overpaying for Williams. However, I believe he's more than lived up to this trade value up to this point. The Giants used that pick to select Tyler Nubin in the 2nd round of the 2024 NFL Draft, and he had a solid rookie year. However, the pass rush upside that Leonard Williams has brought to Seattle has been more than worth it, in my opinion. Not to mention, he had a big man interception last season that was returned at 92 yards all the way to the house, showcasing not only his athleticism as well as his power and play recognition. I see Williams having another solid year for the Seattle defensive line unit, and I believe he's earned himself a place on this team for the next few years. Next up for me is Arizona Cardinals cornerback Garrett Williams. Garrett Williams might just be the most underrated player on this entire list, as he could even be one of the best at his entire position. The Cardinals are a team I seem to forget about often, as they just kind of bore me and never really compete. But none of that is Garrett Williams' fault, who has been a lockdown nickel corner for the Cardinals since he was drafted. Williams is entering his third year in the NFL, and last year PFF graded him as the 6th best overall corner in the NFL and thrived in his slot role for Arizona. He posted 45 tackles, 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, and a forced fumble in 2024. He's a player that seems to be all over the field for Arizona as he continues to have high performances on a just average defensive unit. Williams likely would have been a first-round pick coming out of Syracuse if he didn't tear his ACL that same year. That ACL tear resulted in him falling all the way to pick 72 in the 3rd round to the Arizona Cardinals, where they got an absolute steal.
NFL draft. The Arizona Cardinals select Garrett Williams.
He is most definitely worth paying closer attention to as the 2025 season approaches and should be in prime position to post another big year.
Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard dancing into the end zone, and a Panthers victory with a touchdown in overtime.
Chuba Hubbard was labeled as pretty insignificant going into the 2024 season, but quickly proved everybody wrong as he exploded as one of the top rushers in the league. He posted close to 1,200 rushing yards and added 10 touchdowns on top of that, with 171 receiving yards and a receiving score as well. The Panthers drafted Hubbard in the 4th round at pick 126. He was originally drafted to back up star running back Christian McCaffrey and didn't have a whole lot of expectations, seeing as he was expected to be in a reserved role for Carolina. However, after Carolina traded McCaffrey to the 49ers, Hubbard was thrust into the starting role and actually performed at a very high level. So high, in fact, that he earned himself a brand new contract in Carolina and is set to play there for the next few years. Maybe Hubbard isn't as underrated as he used to be anymore, but I think people often forget the impact he had on Carolina's offense in 2024. The pass game didn't really get going until late in the season when Bryce Young finally showed off some ability, and it was Hubbard who was pretty much the entire offense for the Panthers, posting multiple 100-yard performances and keeping them alive and even winning them a few games. The Panthers signed running back Rico Dowdle and drafted running back Trevor Etienne from Georgia to split time with Hubbard, but regardless of this, I see Hubbard continuing to take the bulk of the carries and being Carolina's workhorse back.
Levis from the end zone, 4-man rush, ball throws right into traffic, and it's intercepted! Zach Sealer with a pick 6!
The final player I wanted to talk about is Miami Dolphins defensive tackle Zach Sealer. Sealer is another one of those guys that's just been underrated his entire career. He was originally drafted to the Baltimore Ravens in the 7th round out of the small school of Ferris State. He showed a little bit of potential there, but like most 7th rounders, was released by Baltimore. But what was the Ravens' trash was the Dolphins' treasure, as he turned out to be one of the most dominant players they have on defense in general. Sealer posted a total of 28 tackles and 10 total sacks, adding a forced fumble and an interception returned for a touchdown. Miami's defense was somewhat lackluster at the time, but one player who never seemed to have an off day was Zach Sealer. PFF graded him as the 12th best defensive tackle in the league and a very high pass rush grade from the interior. He has anchored this Miami defensive line, and now he's next to the 1st-round pick Kenneth Grant, as he should only be able to produce even more now. Sealer, I think, was overshadowed by the now Las Vegas Raider Christian Wilkins, but now that he's been gone, Sealer has only gotten better under the brighter lights and continues to be a force to be reckoned with up the middle for the Miami Dolphins.